Mideast is on fire, and it is every person for themselves. So I want the American people to know that the three of us support this operation to take Yemen back from the Iranian proxies, but we categorically reject President Obama's foreign policy that we believe has substantially contributed to this mess.
Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina expressing concern about the ongoing violence in Yemen. Back now on Hour 2 of America's Forum with Miranda Khan, J.D. Hayworth. And Miranda, this crisis in Yemen is escalating into a regional conflict. Right. Yesterday, Saudi Arabia launched airstrikes against the Iran-backed rebels, and now Egypt is apparently getting involved.
Yeah, Egypt said they are ready to send troops to join a Saudi-led ground operation. In addition, Egyptian warships are headed to Yemen, and the U.S. has been providing logistical support for this Saudi effort.
Joining us now to discuss this developing story, Major General Paul Vallely, retired from the U.S. Army, now the chairman of Stand Up America, and also joining us for the entire hour from Newsmax New York, radio and TV commentator Ellis Hennigan. Ellis, it's good to have you. And Paul, as you Skype in from Montana, we thank you very much. Describe what's going on in Yemen. Is this essentially a proxy war?
Well, it is a proxy war. Of course, that's what Iran does. They use their proxies over there to expand their influence. So, as Miranda discussed, the Egyptians are very concerned about guarding the entrance into the Red Sea from the Gulf of Aden and the Indian Ocean. And so their forces will be down there to do that. They're also prepared to complement the Saudi Arabian Air Force in their attacks on the Houthis in the north. But Saudi Arabia has also positioned some armored infantry units, almost a division plus, down there on the border at this time.
Paul, of course, there is nothing simple in the Middle East. I mean, here we are in Crete fighting against Iran. Yet in Yemen, we're actually trying to. I mean, it's just hugely complex. But what about this possibility of hope? The notion of a pan-Arab counterterrorism force is genuine talk about that. Is that anything that we should actually think is a possibility?
It's already in existence, Ellis, from what I understand, and it's made up of 5 different countries right now. Because of the disengagement of the United States, you have the United Arab Emirates, you have Oman, you have Kuwait, you have Saudi Arabia, you have Egypt now pulling together in a planning strategy, and they've already had meetings in order to bring about a counterforce to what's going on with the initiatives of Iran supporting the Shias and the Houthis down there in Yemen. So they have gone forward into their first phase, which is really bringing the Saudis and the Egyptians together in a counterforce operation.
So, General, I have to ask you, how does this impact the entire Middle East, and should the U.S. be doing more?
Well, this president's not going to do any more. He's focused completely on this Iran agreement, which falls apart one day and comes together the next. So we're not sure what's going to happen there within the next few days. But certainly Iran is on a path to become a hegemonic power. And as far as I know, from what I've been able to obtain, they already have a nuclear capability. They have the launch systems, they have the guidance systems, they've tested those systems with North Korea. So they're well on our way to have a nuclear program that will be effective in launching ICBMs, particularly at the target in Israel. But we'll have to see what works out in this agreement that Obama wants to get done more than anything with Iran.
Paul, in the 1 minute that remains, back to Yemen. When we had to flee the embassy, when we had a lot of our forces leave, we understand there was a treasure trove of intelligence that the Iranians got their hands on. What exactly was that intelligence? How critical is it to the United States?
Well, a lot of that intelligence had to do with our drone operations in that area. And of course, we had some leave behind forces, special forces that were operating just down north of Aden in the south west corner there. but I understand almost $550 million worth of equipment and assets have been left in Yemen in several different areas, but a lot of it had to do with the intelligence gathering operations that focused on the drone operations there.
$500 million of materiel as most of our men and personnel leave Yemen. We will have to take our leave on that unfortunate note. General Paul Vallely, as always, we appreciate your insights on military strategy and on intelligence from the Middle East. When we come back, Ellis will stay with us and Alan Dershowitz will join us. Stay tuned.